Hi, so I am Woody. I sing in the band Polar. And the band Polar has been going for 15 years. I have been in the band for 15 years for all my sins. And recently, in the last 2 years, my previous lineup I played in Polar with all left in bad blood. And unfortunately, as things do go, it went a bit south. And I was left with a decision whether I was going to continue the band or not. It's quite a difficult one because I guess with when you're just by yourself and you've got all of the weight of the world underneath you, and it affects all the relationships within the whole band, on externally with management and stuff. It was a real tough call, but lo and behold, I'm here. I'm here to tell the tale of how I rebuilt it and found some of the best people in the world to be in a band with. So yeah, we've been together a year and a half now, and our new album, Five Arrows, is the product of what we've come together to do. And I'm incredibly lucky and thankful to have found four of the most amazing guys in the world that I consider family now, and we are slowly coming out of the darker days that the band went into and finding some real lights in the world from what we've done going forward with the new album.
Fantastic. And I just want to say that we're so happy that you did come back and push on through and you're, back with Polar because the new album is actually awesome. Like, I'm not
Oh,
just
thank
saying
you very
that, I
much.
love it. So,
Oh,
well,
thank you very much.
of
Yeah, no,
course.
I'm glad it's resonating with people. That's I think that's the payment. That's the reward of music. You can do an album that really like strikes a nerve with people. I think that's for me the biggest payment in the world. So no, thank you. Your words are very kind.
Definitely. For you, then, is the new album Five Arrows? Is it really sort of a new era for you?
Yes, yeah, it is. When everyone left and we rebuilt Polar and Polar became today, what I did do is it just allowed us to be very experimental with Polar sound. I don't think there was nothing really left to lose, and I think there's a line in the film Fight Club which kind of resonates with me is that when you lose everything, you gain everything, and I felt that really because it meant that the band could become more challenging. I think previously, with a band that's been together for this long and has a real like discovery of albums, what I did notice looking back and being quite critical of my previous work was that Polar had fundamentally built a blueprint of a sound and it had followed that sound for so long.
Yeah.
But that sound had only got us so far. So with this one, it was a case that we threw the rule book out.
Yeah.
Where an idea maybe previously that is on like Five Arrows now might have been taken off the table very quickly in previous lineups.
Yeah.
And having that like very open experimental like willingness within us, I think we just allowed us to push doors open that we necessarily never really done before. Like it really allowed us to be kind of really challenging in our writing.
Yeah.
And like even to the point where maybe things even as a vocalist for me like but I think because they felt uncomfortable I felt like I was doing the right thing. I was writing music that for once that was actually challenging me and it will probably challenging a listener that would listen to us.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so good to hear. And do all of the ideas with this new lineup, do they all come from everyone in the band, or is it primarily just you sort of with the ideas and songwriting?
So with the songwriting, our guitarist Simon, he spent about 2 weeks pretty much awake 24/7 writing riffs. He just wrote all these riffs. And then we've got put all these riffs to the rest of us. We all started chipping away. They were like adding stuff, and it's probably a good point to talk about our producer Jack Murphy because we brought Jack in, who is now a lifelong friend. We will do more music to. Yeah, so Jack basically allowed us to really push our boundaries, and that I think I needed that. I needed a producer. I needed someone that was willing to kick me out of my comfort zone and fundamentally push me into an environment where I can actually like move forward with it. And we were in a really really good situation by this point because I luckily had five people in front of me who that really kind of understood how the band worked and how the band wanted to move forward and how the band wanted to grow And yeah, I think we did a really good job.
Yeah,
I do generally think it is a really good job.
definitely. And it's so important. It must be so important to have a group of people around you that are pushing you forward and you're all collectively, got the same goal. And yeah, it's nice to see.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to be in that environment, coming out of quite a negative environment.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the other side of it. I was in one of those, so.
Yeah. No, I can only imagine. Lyrically, what does Five Arrows explore?
It really kind of explores the ideas of the destructive power of change. I think that is something that, put a band aside, I think we've all been through some pretty big life changing moments in the last 4 years. And I went through some after the pandemic, I then went through a bigger life changing. And it really discusses the idea of like having to embrace change, however horrible, however hard that feels sometimes. That in that change the idea of resilience, that if however much something is perceived to be dead, however much something is perceived to be at the end of its line, there's still life there. It really is down to how much you're willing to put into it and how much you're willing to really invest into it. And that if you embrace change, that it isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think neglecting that things are changing around you, I think that can have a real negative effect. Where if you do embrace change and you move forward with it, I think that can really create a nice positivity within it. So yeah, it has this real kind of like negative and positive balance between it, and those scales of being like balanced like heavily within the album. So there's really, there's almost some lines in that album that are quite vicious. And, I'm sure people that have heard the album that maybe it's directed at will probably find it quite vicious. But then there's some really kind of like uplifting moments where, where I really found that like positivity had been like embraced, and that had been found within the change in the band. So yeah, and I think it's important to really vocalize, for me especially, to vocalize those negatives and positives. And I'm very lucky to have the vessel to put it through, which is Polar.
Definitely. And you can definitely tell on the album too, your raw emotion comes out through your singing. I don't know if you realize it, but it's really strong. And those growls that you do, did you like when you first learned or knew that you could sing, did you like go straight to like that growling, or did you have singing lessons? Or
I was a terrible singer. I started terrible, awful. I was terrible, like literally terrible. I sounded like a dying animal when I first started. I probably was looking like a dying animal while I was doing it. I grew up in like with a lot of bands like Poison the Well. I was a big hardcore fanatic when I was growing up as a kid, and I got the bug. I just was like, I want to be one of these singers. A big band for me was like Glassjaw, like Gareth Palumbo is like a big idol of mine.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to. I literally picked my phone up and just started screaming. I actually started playing bass in a band, and I wasn't very good at that, so I had to give that up because that was not my strong point. And then I moved into vocal. It was just like a garage kind of hardcore punk band. You all think you're going to be Metallica, but you're
Yeah.
actually just playing in your mum's basement. And the further I got into like singing, and then when Polar started, I guess I started taking things a little bit more professionally. We started touring. I never really toured before, so vocal health and learning how to do things correctly is a real like game changer, and that creates vocal stamina. And obviously, some of these tours can be weeks on end. So
Yes.
I sourced out a vocal coach, and I had the same vocal coach as Stormzy. I don't know if you know
Oh my God,
Stormzy,
I love
and
Stormzy. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, the same guy who teaches Stormzy teaches me, which is very weird.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I've got, but
Nice.
however the voice is being used, the theory and the practice is exactly the same. So
Yeah.
I sit with the guy, and I learned. I basically like to a massive degree. I learned how to breathe, and now I kind of understand it. But I think breathing is something that's like for heavier singers is sometimes overlooked because you're going so aggressive, you forget the actual practices and the functions inside yourself, which is breathing and like actually learning that to be an aggressive vocalist or be a vocalist that's pushing, like that you don't actually need to be angry. You've got to be the complete opposite. You've got to be very relaxed, and like the more relaxed you are, the better the actual voice actually holds.
Wow.
So I learned a lot of stuff. I still learn now. I think I'll be learning till to whatever point. And like it really kind of like inspires me to kind of grow. Like, and every time I learn how to do something more within my voice, it means that I can make the band more challenging vocally in the future. So yeah, I think learning vocals and learning like vocal practice and vocal health, I think it's super important. You know, otherwise you're just going to be screaming your head off, and your voice is going to go, and you're going to blow your throat out, and all of those things I have done before. And you know, I played last night for an hour, so and I sound okay. I mean, I'll let you decide on that. I'll probably sound terrible, but like, but yeah, just but yeah, so yeah, just learning little tricks and little tips, and
yeah,
it's allowed me to carry on, and it's probably strengthened my voice, and that's probably allowed me to push my range because I can actually learn how to do things.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And do you have any, what music do you like to listen to? And is there any guilty pleasure sort of music that maybe that like fans of the music you make, it would be a surprise to them because it's just so out there? Or
So Deftones and Glassjaw, they've been big influences on my career. You know, without Chino, I guess a lot of people who are in my music scene probably would be doing music. And Daryl Palumbo is a massive like influence as well. And guilty pleasures. I'm trying to think of there's probably millions, probably loads and loads. Look, it's Christmas songs now, isn't it? Like Mariah Carey, that's but you know, I think guilty pleasure.
No, that's all right. I'll forgive you. It is Christmas. Okay. I guess.
But it is, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite song off the new album? And is there another one from your previous albums that you just absolutely love?
I just liked it. It's just it's got a lot of energy. It does a lot vocally, and I think it really kind of encapsulates the whole new sound that Polar went for. And I think one song that I'll never be able to get rid of ever in my career would be Black Days. It resonates with people. People love it. I guess it really like it's all about nostalgia, and the vocals really kind of hit home with that. It's a love and hate relationship I have with that song. I love playing it. I love the fact that it resonates with people. But I've probably played it well over 150 times now, and yeah, it's one of those ones that kind of drags a little bit.
Yeah. Definitely. No, I can imagine it would be like that when you have to play certain songs over and over again, but they're still your babies.
It is. It is exactly that. Yeah, love all your children.
Yeah. What does polar mean to you?
Polar means strength, unity, and resilience. It you know it really kind of like hits home. You know, it is a passion project to a degree, but at the same time, you know, it's a job, and it just represents the fact that I think for me that you know not to give up. I think life is tough. You know, it doesn't matter what you do in life. I think that it really is tough. And this band proves to me that however hard things are, that you can overcome them. You can work through them. You can build. You know that there's no dead ends with anything. It's only dead when you want it to be dead. And so it just proves to me that you can kind of really, as a human spirit, is very hard to break. You can really push through, and it allows me to believe that you know there's much more to achieve in this world in any part of my life.
Yeah, that's beautiful and true. Have you been to Australia before? Any plans to come here?
No, I yes, loads of plans. So we want to come. I don't know yet. I don't know dates, times, and things. I've toured extensively with just Australian bands. I think I've toured with more Australian bands than I have any other continent. So I've toured with Partway, Made Them Suffer, Alpha Wolf, In Heart's Wake, Tonight Alive. So I really connect with Australia, but we've just never been able to get over and do it. So the answer to the question is yes, but when, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no worries. We really hope we can see you guys soon.
Firstly, thank you very much for the interview. Thank you for being patient with me and my internet worries and all of that stuff. Yeah, it's obviously quite hard to do stuff on the road sometimes. So I appreciate everything you've done, and thank you for having me. Thank you to anyone that's listened to our album. Thank you to anyone that has supported the band. To anyone that hasn't checked the album out, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you find something you love in it.
Beautiful. Woody, thank you so much for your time. We love the new album and are crossing our fingers for our Aussie tour sometime soon. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
And you, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.